Okay.
Hi, I'm Iwan with Solowheel. I'm here with my associate, Mike, who will show you how to change a Solowheel tire. All of these instructions are also available on our website at solowheel.com/manual. You can click on the link in the description. To change the Solowheel tire, you will need a Phillips screwdriver.
You can use a power one like this, but I wouldn't recommend it if you haven't done it before because you'll probably strip the screws. So just a good normal Phillips screwdriver and make sure it fits tightly in the screw heads.
Unscrew all the screws around the outside of the cover. There are 7 screws on each side, including the ones in the handle.
Make sure you pick it up always by this and not by the wheel. You will get a little cut in your hand. Okay, that's all the case screws.
In the middle of the cover, beneath the leg pads, there are 6 screws. Unscrew the screws only on the opposite side of the on-off switch and charging port. Do not unscrew the screws that are on the same side as the switch.
That's all 6.
Gently open the top half of the case and flip it over. There are connecting wires between the 2 half cases. Be careful not to stretch these wires.
So the important part is to get this case out from under these foot pedals. So you just put your thumbs here, and put your fingers on the case, and slide it backwards gently. Well, sometimes the screws are stuck. So once that's off, you can flip it over.
You can now change the tire or inner tube as you would on a bicycle.
So to do this, same as any bike, it's good to have some of these little tools for changing tires. You can get them at a bike shop. It's not completely necessary, but it's safer than a screwdriver. You can also use a big screwdriver and put some tape or something around it so it doesn't scratch your rim. It's best to start near the valve stem so that the tire has room to go up underneath in here. So you just start working your way around. And it just takes a while. You can also take this to a bike shop and just present them with this, and they should be able to do it pretty easily. And since this tire isn't bad, I won't do the whole thing since we don't need to, but you just work your way around. It's the same as the other one. When you put it back on, you want to put a little bit of air, put the tube into the tire, put a little bit of air so that it fills up, and then let the air back out so it's in the right shape. And then just be careful that you don't pinch the tube when you're putting on the tire in between the tire and the rim. And all you're going to do is put it on and start squeezing it on slowly until you pop the whole thing on. And then make sure that the tire is centered. Sometimes it'll get a little off to the side on the valve stem part. Just look for this little piece of trim here and make sure that looks even around the whole rim so that you don't get a little bump in your tire. And then you can fill it back up. So,
refit the Solowheel cover in place.
So if you have an older model with this little box outside, then you want to make sure you put the box on the bottom and try to get all the wires, as much as you can, on top of that box, all these little wires, so that there's nothing hanging down. If you have a newer one, you won't have this. It'll be stored with the battery, so just make sure you pack the wires in as much as you can into these little side things. And then, same as I think did the other way, you just lift it up a little bit, squeeze these under here, and then pick it up.
Using your hand or a rubber hammer, tap the case to line up the screw holes on the ridge between the foot platform and the red leg pad.
These screws. So start seeing the screw hole right there. So then you want to take a light or flashlight or something and hold it together and take a look through there. Can you get that? Through the bottom. And make sure there's no wires hanging through that little gap. If you see any, use a screwdriver or your finger and poke them back up through there. You don't want anything hanging down, or it will probably rub on the tire later. And make sure nothing is sticking out of this gap either. Okay, so there's no wires hanging out. So I'm going to take one top screw. I'm going to try to. And just tighten it a little bit. You don't have to tighten it all the way. And then take another look, make sure nothing is hanging out of any of these or any of these gaps here. And there's a little one. You'll get little wires like this sometimes. You just want to push them back in, make sure they're all the way in. So now everything should be clear. So
Screw in all the screws using your Phillips screwdriver. Take care to turn the screws in as straight as possible. If you feel too much resistance, back the screw out, realign it, and tighten it again.
So it's best to start with these. We'll make sure they're aligned there. If there's a little bit of a misalignment, you can use a little rubber hammer and just tap on it a little bit. It won't hurt the case here. And make sure you look straight into them and make sure they're completely straight. So if you put a screw in sideways here, you'll strip it and it'll be hard to deal later. So even with a machine, I always start these with a regular screwdriver. Make sure this is completely straight going in. It should go in nice and easy. If it's getting harder to turn, it's probably sideways. So they're all in straight. Should all look nice and straight going in. If you've had an older one and you've taken it apart before and the screws have gotten crooked, you can hold them, make sure they're very straight, and slowly tighten them in, and they should re-grab the old threads. So after that, you can finish up with these. I usually just start at the top, just do one side and go from the top around. And if you do want to use a power tool, I wouldn't use an electric drill. Don't use this, because you will strip those screws right out. It'll happen really fast. This is an impact driver, so when it stops moving, it starts doing an impact instead of a normal turn. So when you hear the clicking, so that it doesn't strip those screws out. And then flip it over. And then give you the air pump. Find the valve stem. You can either can use a pump like this, or you can use the extension. Either one is fine. If you can get this on like this, it's fine. So normally I do these to 40 psi. You can do it to 35 if you like that better, or even 30 if you like it, but I think 40 is a good number. Let me put the cat back on. So ready to go.
Thanks for watching our video. I hope you find it useful. Happy solo wheeling!